Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Board Game Geek Show for April 12, 2019. Happy Tax Day in 3 days.
Oh, boy.
I'm your host, Scott Alden, and once again, I am joined by my lovely co-hosts, Steph Hodge, Lincoln Damerst, and W. Eric Martin. How's everybody doing?
Hi.
Doing great. Not moving like Eric.
Eric, I see you're still in your old room. Did you move? I thought you moved.
No, this is moving. My game room, which right now is just a 5-foot stack of boxes.
The game is setting up the games.
Yes, there's a bit of work to do. And then there's the recording studio off to the side, which also has the same thing. So I have some work ahead.
Well, before we get into the Golden Geek Award announcements, I'd like to tell you all about BGGCon in the fall. As of this recording, there are 100 tickets remaining, or something like that. So if you would like to come join us in the fall, BGGCon, at the new location down in downtown Dallas at the Hyatt Regency Reunion Tower. I always forget the name of it. Come on and buy a ticket so that we can sell out and be done with this and just get ready for the final show. So there's only 100 tickets left, so why not come? Hotel is sold out, by the way, but there are many hotels in the area that are within walking distance or a short Lyft or Uber drive over. So yeah, come with us and play games in the fall.
Join us
at BGGCon in the new location, downtown Dallas. Also, BGGCon Spring has plenty of tickets, so if you want to come out in a couple months, do that. So check that in the events section of Board Game Geek on the top. You see a little line that says events. And of course, we could probably put the links down in the description. So so those are also available. And I think people don't really realize this, but this thing called Tabletop Network is we're in cooperation with them. And so if you buy a ticket to Tabletop Network, you also get a ticket to BGGCon. And that hotel block is open. So you designers, developers, whoever's related to the board game industry, not publishers, can come and join us for an informative and educational convention run by the people over at Tabletop Network. And you can search for Tabletop Network or Tim, what's Tim's last name? Tim Fowers. He's running it along with his team over there. And should be a good time if you are looking to learn how to make games. So that's the Tabletop Network. Oh, wait, one more thing. There's like a dozen cabins left on the cruise, so
definitely join us on the cruise. It's an awful lot of fun.
So let's move on to the Golden Geek Awards for the results for 2018. This is the 13th year we've been doing it, so congratulations to all the nominees and winners. And I'm just going to go through a couple of the highlights here. I know a lot of people who have been really hoping the Ludology podcast was going to win for Best Podcast, and they finally won, and it was Jeff Engelstein's last year of doing it, I guess, and he's now on the show. So congratulations, Jeff, and all the new hosts on that show, the Ludology podcasts. Link in the description. Because everything else you can find on Board Game Geek. You can find Ludology on Board Game Geek, too. We have a podcast section. So the best board game app, Steph, was Gone Shown Clever. I know you.
Oh my gosh,
that one. Yeah,
I love it. So addicted.
Best war game, Eric, was Hannibal and Hamilcar.
That's right. We've been waiting for that for years. We've been previewing again and again and again at different conventions, and now it's here.
Finally. The best thematic game was Root. The best strategy game was Brass Birmingham. Do you guys play those? You guys play Root or Brass Birmingham?
I played Brass.
Yeah, me too. Best solo game was That's Pretty Clever, which is also known as Gone Shown Clever. So that's another Wolfgang Warsch winning game.
It's because the app is so addictive.
Probably carried over if people are playing like best solo game, best app. It's kind of the same. I think Eric was the only one that played it, like where he put the dice on the table and started rolling, right? So you
have to demo it on the camera that way.
I'm sure plenty of people played it.
Yes, but I mean, on the phone, you're just going to take a couple minutes. Boom, done, and then again.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wolfgang Warsch, he won for The Mind for Best Party Game.
Woo!
Yes, and also Best Card Game. I actually didn't think it was going to win.
Honestly. And Best Cooperative Game.
Yeah, he won three awards.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you picked The Mind for any of those games, congratulations. You picked the right one, and congratulations to Wolfgang Warsch. He also won for Best Family Game, The Quacks Quedlinburg, which we all like and are fans of. So.
And we got the new tokens coming this summer. Woo!
We do. We have new tokens coming. Can't wait for those.
They look amazing.
Let's see, what have I missed here? The best expansion was Scythe: The Rise of Fenris, which apparently is a legacy expansion. I did not know that. Root won for best artwork and presentation.
Root is on fire.
Also, Root is also the most innovative game of the year, which I kind of agree with. It's pretty innovative.
I haven't played it.
That's right.
Right, Olivier. Okay, and before I get into the final the Game of the Year award, the best 2-player game was Keyforge, which I have played and quite like.
Still have to try that one.
And the board game of the year was Root. So if you had Root or The Mind on your pick lists, you win the pool because they won a lot of awards.
Well, The Mind was my top favorite game of the year, so
That was your game of the year?
For everything.
Well, runner-up for Game of the Year was Brass Birmingham and Architects of the West Kingdom. And Architects of the West Kingdom was like runner-up in a lot of categories. So go check those out. All the nominees are awesome games. I played most of them, and I really enjoy a lot of them. So check out the nominees and check out the winners over on BoardGameGeek.com. Front page, we've got the little award thing posted up right now. I'll leave it up for probably another week or so you'll check those out.
Do they actually get real medals?
They do. We make these shiny gold 4-inch bronze, or what are they made of? Like brass.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's really cool. I think a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, no, the medals are actually quite fancy.
Hefty.
Yeah, and they're not cheap.
Isaac Childress posted a photo like Mark Spitz style, right? With, just laid out.
Oh yeah, where he was wearing all of them, right? For sure. They are heavy.
Yes.
And they come with a nice blue
Ribbons.
what's it called? Ribbon. Yeah. So let's move on to everybody's favorite segment of the show. What I've been playing. Steph, I know you played a couple things, so why don't we start with you?
Yeah, and to ride that Wolfgang Warsch train, I have a couple of his games right next to me here. The first one I want to talk about is Doppelt, so clever, or twice as clever. Basically the next in the series, which is on the app, and you can buy the app, and I've been playing the app like crazy. But now I actually have the real game. So it has the same mechanics as Ganz Schön Clever, but all the dice are doing totally new things, and there's a lot more strategy involved in this game, and it's really, really good because there's a whole new mechanic where you can unlock a die that you might have locked previously. So now you could I can lock some dice and get it back with my unlock action. Oh, there's a lot more thinking and creative planning in this version, I think, than the Ganz Schön Clever. But it might not be easier to explain to a newer player than Ganz Schön Clever. But yeah, I think this it's possible my top 5 favorite roll and writes, and I love roll and writes so much. I am the roll and write queen. I love them so much. I'll play
the self-proclaimed roll and write queen.
Yeah, it should be me. It's my title, right?
Okay, that's your new blog.
Roll and write queen. I like it.
So is the Doppelt So Clever going to get printed in the States? Do you know, or is
Yeah,
that,
so these are actually both coming from Stronghold, so that they're coming, I think, this summer, probably Gen Con is what I'm guessing. Maybe sooner.
Maybe in June.
June?
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe it's Origins. The one below is called Subtext, and it's a Dixit meets Pictionary party type game, and it's gonna be huge. I already know it's gonna be huge. It's so good. It's so good. So I get a word, and then I have to draw a picture, but I hand out cards, and someone gets the card that I got, so they have a word. But we want to try and pair up without being obvious, so other people can't guess that we're partners. And the partner doesn't know it's me, and I don't know it's the partner. So I'm also guessing, and I'm participating in the guessing phase. So if the word is plane, I'm not going to draw a plane. That's too obvious. I need to draw I don't know, a flight attendant or a cloud, or it has to be you're trying to make it very unclear, but clear to the person who has plane. It's very, very interesting, and I know it's going to be a huge hit. I already want to play it with 8 people and see what happens. It's going to be awesome.
So you only want the person that has your card to get it right and no one else?
Correct. It's like Dixit scoring rules where you want them to guess.
Or more than one can get it, but you'll get If everybody gets it, you get
everybody
nothing.
guesses it, then you don't get points, and they'll get
Right.
points, kind of thing. And so you're trying to just get that one partner. And for you to score points, you both have to get it correct.
How do you yourself not get it correct?
Well, you are trying to guess who the other person is who is drawing the thing that you drew.
You don't know who your partner is.
Oh, so you'll get a card back.
No.
So I look at the top card, and then I shuffle in, however many people are getting cards to that one card. So I shuffle those, I look to the side, and then hand them out to everybody. I don't know who got my card.
Okay. You have to figure out who got your card.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out who's drawing the same thing that I'm trying to convey with my picture. They're all trying to guess who out of them all is matching my picture. So everybody knows what I'm drawing. Like, everybody can see what I'm drawing, and everybody can see what everybody else is drawing. It doesn't matter because nobody knows any information anyway.
Okay. Gosh, that Wolfgang Warsch is pretty clever.
Oh my
No
god,
kidding.
he's so clever.
He's double so clever.
He's double clever.
I already know it's gonna be awesome. I just want to keep playing it, and so the next time I have a big group of friends over, I'll just have to, get the. I only played it
Right.
with 4 players, and it depends on who you play with. You can't be obvious. If you're obvious, then you won't get any points. So, I'm actually very good at this game. It seems.
You can just draw a line and then just see.
I just hope nobody matches your line.
I'll just squint my eyes and pretend I'm drawing something, and then that'll be good enough, right? Just.
That's right. As obscure as you want to be.
Well, so one of the words in the game I recently played was rainbow. I didn't get to draw rainbow, unfortunately. Somebody drew a unicorn. Somebody drew Kermit. I couldn't connect the two. I'm like, maybe he's trying to say elf, because I was drawing the word elf. Kermit's green. Elves might be green. I don't know. But apparently he was trying to connect Kermit with a unicorn.
Yeah, because of the rainbow connection.
The rainbow connection, but I didn't have the word rainbow. If I did have the word rainbow, I probably would have got it.
But you would have been drawing something as well, and he would not have drawn Kermit. So,
well,
yeah.
right.
Then other things
So
would have
somebody
happened.
who had rainbow had unicorn, or drew a unicorn for rainbow, and he drew Kermit for rainbow. So they were actually partners, but nobody got it because nobody understood what Kermit was for.
They missed the connection.
So it's all about not being too obvious, but not being too far off either.
Yeah, we recorded an overview at Spielwiese, and it seemed very interesting, just spot on for that style of game. Yeah, be clever, but not clear. Yes,
Not clear.
yeah,
Not obvious. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm looking forward to playing that next week when we go to the thing in the thing. So,
The thing.
Lincoln, what have you been playing? What have you been playing?
Well, we played Museum by Eric Dubus and Olivier Melison, published by Holy Grail Games and distributed by Luma. So I guess it's available in the States. I know they had a big Kickstarter for it. It is a really neat set collection, basically kind of like tile laying game, because you're placing your cards in your museum. You're furbishing the museum, and the really awesome part about it is it's not tile laying until the very end, because you just put them in the galleries as you're doing it, and you could sort of try to lay it out and piece it out as you're going. But at the very end, you can rearrange the entire gallery museum to try to fulfill hidden goals for your museum, or set up. I think they're called objects. No, they're all objects. Anyway, you have your different styles of objects that you're trying to collect, and they need to be from different areas of the world to make your collection more valuable or higher points. And you need to try to get multiple pieces of objects from different areas of the world as well to get higher points. And it's really hard to actually score. The game really makes a lot of sense as you're playing it, but once you get to scoring, it's this big puzzle to try to figure out the best way to score. I had actually, when I played it, I think I had a 7-point bonus for for one thing, and Dave was able to readjust my stuff to give me 2 5-point bonuses. So I got an actual 3-point gain there, which was really cool, but hard as heck to see all that stuff. You're like, how do I do this? Because each object, not every area has, what is gosh darn it, I cannot remember the name. Do you know what I'm talking about, Steph? The different...
I I played it in prototype a few years ago, so I'm sure it's changed a bunch, but I remember it being like, only one area will have these many symbols and this area will have this many symbols. So you can't really go everywhere and collect everything.
Absolutely. Well, you're not going to see all the cards either. There's many, many cards in the deck, and you're only going to get 2 per well, it might be more with more players. No, it's 4 players maximum. So it's only 2 from each area, maybe, that you're going to see each round, each turn, player's turn, because you keep refilling as you go. But things will, public opinion will change for an area, and like or a war will be happening, and so you'll only have artifacts, 1 artifact in that region, and then other things happen where the public opinion goes against an area because of whatever is going on, and so they're worth minus points at the end of the game. So you're trying to get all your cards. The neat thing is you pay for the pieces with other cards, and they go into a common pool, which is your discard pile, but everybody's discard pile is available to you. To them, they could take from your pile. They have to give you a prestige point, but the really cool thing is I can build from my discard pile. They're just available to others, but if I pay with another card, I can pull those out of the discard pile and then put the one that I paid back in. And you can, when you buy from someone else, you give them a prestige point. So you have to have a special token that you've gotten in other manners, and then you discard the card that you're paying with into their pile, so they can build that card. It's really, really, really good. But holy cow, is that scoring crazy at the end?
It seems a bit abstract, huh?
Well, we were talking that it would actually probably be a little easier to just have tiles instead of the cards, but the cards are fantastic. It's tons of original art. Every single card is a different piece of art. Eric and I were talking about that Vincent Dutrait is everywhere, but man, for good reason. The guy is fantastic.
I think it's 300 different pieces of art from him. More than 300.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So were those collections called domains?
That is correct. So the domains are like a different category of artifact, and so, or relics as they are. And so you need to try to have cards from different regions of the world, different civilizations, and collecting. So part of your collection could be, let's say you got like telescopes or something like that. There's like a celestial one, I believe. And you could have different ones from around the world for that type of a collection. It's neat. And then the museum map itself has another thing. If you could fill it up, it's worth a certain amount of points. If you get a certain 9 cards in this, because the map is reversible and they're different for each museum. But in the game we played, there's 9 cards that need to be of one type, whether it's from one region of the world or it's one domain. And the domains become more valuable. You need to have them from different areas of the world. So I could have 9 of them, but if they're only from 4 regions, I'm only going to have 4 level to score. So it's like, I think 7 points or something. Or no, it might even be more than that. The domains are hard to do, so they're worth a lot of points. But it's a fantastic game. What have you been playing, Eric, besides the moving game?
Yeah, with the moving into a new house, I've not been playing too much. But, strangely, I found something that fits my taste. Oh, it's a cooperative game in which you play cards in order. Yes, believe it or not, it's another one. It is not the game, it is not the mine, it is not Narabi. It is 2 Stacks by Ed Doreau. He's self-published this. I think he's still looking for distribution. He's been selling copies on Reddit, and he asked if he'd send one. I'm like, well, sure. So it's a 2 to 4 player game. You have cards 1 to 12 in blue and red, and your goal for winning is for everyone to empty their hands. So it's a little different in that that's all you're trying to do. You're not trying to make it through the deck or play all the cards or whatever it is. Just empty your hands. But you have 2 discard piles, and you each have a role that allows you to play in certain ways. So if on top there's a blue 3 and a red 10, I may have a card that says I can only play the same color, 1 up or 1 down from whatever is on top. So I could play a red 11 or a red 9. Or a blue 2 or a blue 4. Or I could have the alternating role where I have to play the opposite color, but again, 1 up or 1 down. Or the ascending order role, or the descending role. And each player has a role, changes a little in a 2-player game. And some cards, when you play them, you have to switch the roles. So suddenly, I had a plan for what I was going to do, and now I am ascending instead of alternating, so it doesn't quite work anymore. Or something along those lines. And there are some games or some cards where you play special things, and there's bridges that let you sort of cover the gap. So on your turn, you can draw as many cards as you want. But of course, you're trying to get rid of all your cards to win. Everybody is. And then you can play as many cards as you want. And if you play at least something, you can pass one card to each other player to feed them things that they can play. If you don't play any cards, you can't do that. You can just pass for a turn if you want. But if everyone passes, then you lose the game. And that's it. It's relatively straightforward. We haven't done well at it at all. We lost it all. But it's very puzzly, and it's a very different feel from the other games because there's way more of a challenge and a level of frustration because, of course, you can have one card and you can't do anything with it. And you don't really want to draw because you just want to play out all the cards. But if you pass, you're sort of putting the onus on someone else to do something. Because as long as you all don't pass in order, you're still in the game. And maybe you'll turn back around again. Maybe you can do something this time. So there's yet another game in that category that fits perfectly.
It sounds like Llama, except cooperative.
No. I will deny that it's like Llama because you have roles that restrict what you can play.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's very...
It's not like Hoyle Dock, but cooperative?
No. It's not like that either. Because you're not scoring anything. It's just...
You're just trying to get rid of your cards.
Empty your hands. Everybody empty their hands, and that's it. And what's funny, though, is looking at what I've been playing, and then I see Scott on Facebook posting about Sorcerer, which is like 180 degrees in terms of simplicity and subject matter, and maybe he can elaborate more on Sorcerer, because we've filmed overviews, I think dating back to Spiel 2015, and now it's actually reaching backers, and Scott can tell us a little about it.
Yeah, Sorcerer. I remember Rob Doherty has been coming to our booth at every show for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
He was at Gamma. He was also at Gamma 2019. He showed it, I believe.
Yeah. Well, we spoke with the designer in 2015.
Right. So the designer's name is Peter Scholtz. Peter Scholtz was the designer, and Rob Doherty was the developer. And I think there's one other developer which is escaping me. It's not on BoardGameGeek. We need developer credits, right? It's worth the wait. That game is worth the wait. It is very good. It is you would play a sorcerer, obviously, and then you build a deck, but you don't build a deck in the typical deck building way where you pick every card. You pick 3 sets of cards. So you pick your card, your sorcerer card, which gives you a whole bunch of spells, and then you pick like your background, which gives you sort of like where you came from, like your kind of like your background, whatever, and then you pick your domain, which is kind of like the meat of the deck. Which is sort of like you're a demonist, or I was an
necromancer.
Yeah, I was a necromancer, right? So you put those 3 decks together, and you make 40 cards, shuffle, and you play. And then each one of those decks gives you a special action card that can only be activated where you are like standing. And we're fighting over London, of course. And there's 3 locations, and we're having battles at each one of those locations. And the battles are basically the monsters we summon and some special abilities that we do. And then we have a fight where it's a dice rolling game too. So you have some dice where you're fighting and you're doing damage and you're battling back and forth. And it's really intriguing. We played 6 hours straight, back-to-back games, and we loved every second of it. And it came down to like really the bitter end where the final battle over the final battlefield. We played in the team version, I have to say. So it's a 2-player game. It's built as a 2-player game. We played team play, so 2-on-2. I know there's also a battle royale version, which I don't know the specifics for, but it's basically a last person standing. The artwork is phenomenal. The cards are really dark and like spooky. And of course, it's all across the. There's. I think in the game there's maybe 4 to 6 decks per character, and then there's a whole bunch of expansions that Kickstarter brought with it. So we played with a massive card pool, and we kind of like we played one game and then we like traded out like, oh, I don't want to be a necromancer anymore, I want to be a demonologist, or I don't want to like summon Cthulhu stuff, I want to be a firemancer or whatever. So pyromancer, yeah. So it's really cool, and you can customize, right? You can change that out, and gives you a completely different feel, gives you completely different combos. One guy was playing spirit wolves, and he was getting these wolves into his hand, and the spirit wolves just, as soon as they die, he can bring another one out. So they kind of never went away. We had this kind of running joke of like, is there any spirit wolves around to help us here? You know, like, because they kept coming on the board like out of nowhere.
I have a spirit wolf.
Yes.
You got wolf eyes.
So finally, it's here after 4 years of waiting and anticipation, and it's an awesome game. So congratulations to White Wizard, Peter Scholtz, Rob Doherty, and the team. I think you should check it out if you like. Now, it is a combat game. You are attacking each other back and forth. You're never hitting them in the face, though, like Magic. You are hitting their monsters, or you're actually just doing damage. And the cool thing about it is you can either put the damage, like, on the location you're standing, or you can put it on your creatures. So you can, like, leave your creatures alive so they can attack back, right? Or you can just say, oh, well, that creature's no use to me anymore. I'll just let him die. And that was kind of an innovative thing that I had not seen before. I just say, I'm doing 5 damage to you. You figure out how you want to take it.
Yeah, you hold up the wolf in front of you. And
yeah, the Spirit Wolf. Spirit Wolf, take it. Now, there is a concept of a critical where I get to decide where it goes, which is cool because it's one of the D6 sides of the D6, so 1 in 6 chance of critical, where you can target things. So if you want to target like some little wimpy guy they have in the back that hits like a hammer, but he only has 1 health point. If you critical, you can say, oh, well, he takes the point, and then he'll be dead. So, or destroyed. I don't know if there's death in this game. You're just a necromancer or a sorcerer. You can bring things back up to life. So yeah, fabulous game. Check it out, Sorcerer. By the way, Sorcerer has less O's in it than I thought. It's Sorcerer. I always thought it was like OR on the end. So anyway, I can't
There's a
spell
movie.
Sorcerer.
There's a movie called Sorcerer that I've known since I was a little kid. So
yeah.
That did not have 2 O's.
There's also an old SPI game from the 70s called Sorcerer. So there's a couple sorcerers in the BoardGameGeek database. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for gaming. Moving on to news. Do we have any? I think we had like one little tidbit of news item. Are we allowed to talk about that?
There were a few things. I've been, again, moving, and so I would post stuff and then immediately forget it because my brain had no room for anything. And it's kind of funny how things come up that way where Days of Wonder announces the new Ticket to Ride London, which is the new small version of Ticket to Ride. It's a $20 price point in the US and 20 euros in Europe. And it plays almost exactly like Ticket to Ride New York, except now you're in London with double-decker buses for the pieces. And it's funny how we'd announce that, and it just seems like, oh yeah, of course that's going to exist. And then it just sort of goes in the background, and I forget about it because
everybody expected it.
It's not new, but they will sell tens of thousands of copies. So, it's just
you get one, and you get one, and you get one.
Yeah, well, it's going to be exclusive in Walmart in the U.S., but it's available through regular retailers elsewhere. So again, a lot of these exclusives come up because stores ask for something that they can sell. Right? We want something that's exclusive to us.
Well, when I think of Walmart, I think of London for sure.
Well, yeah, maybe they're rebranding. Maybe they're opening a different location in the UK. That's right. Walmart Brexit version. Yeah.
No, entrance version.
Yes. So there's, from Plaid Hat Games, Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein. And it's kind of cool because the setup for this game really derives from the Mary Shelley novel. So in that novel, I don't know if you read it, but the monster takes off over the Arctic ice and just vanishes. And you don't know what happens to it. So in this game, the monster shows up like 20 years later, and you're a scientist who, anatomist, something like this, and this thing shows up and challenges you and other scientists to create a partner for it. So, Bride of Frankenstein, if you want to come up here. And so you have to get all the components from wherever, question mark. You determine where you're going to get these parts and what you're going to put together and then try to make this client a partner. So, yeah. So, very thematic game coming from Plaid Hat, as you'd expect. And then also wrote about this game, Sarah's Vision, which is actually an unusual game in that it is published by Baloise Holding, a Swiss insurance company.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but I saw people sharing posts on Facebook from something, and the artwork was attractive. I looked into it more, and it turns out that this insurance company had created a game primarily for its employees in French and English and German, probably other things because it's a Swiss company. And they were going to distribute it mostly to the employees, but then they had extras, so then they started selling them and trying to find distributors. And it's all about you in the future as you're approaching the singularity, and there's people trying to stop humanity from reaching the singularity, so you are part of the agency that is trying to ensure that's happening. And there's a Jenga-like element.
Ensure or insure that's happening?
Ensure. Yes. Very good. There's a Jenga-like element where you have to push pieces out to, I forget, either ensure that bad things don't happen or collect resources or do something else. And it was weird to see Jenga reused, the Jenga gameplay reused in something where I can't recall it ever being used in anything else except other Jenga games. I don't know. So it turns out the company had just, I think, a few hundred copies available for the general market, and they're investigating now whether to do a second print run because they had not expected regular people to be interested in this game. But yeah.
Well, I think the artwork alone was the thing that gave people a second look at it, right?
Yeah.
Like that artwork is pretty striking. So
it's got to look not like anything else. So you're immediately
Right.
like, what is this? So yeah, so maybe they're going to come out with the second edition or do something. Or again, there's all these hidden games that you might not see until they get publicity, and then show up in your face.
if a game falls in the forest, does anybody hear it?
Yeah. That's unfortunately the situation with a lot of publishers these days. They're dropping the games, and yeah, people are.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely an issue.
Yeah. So
Trying to get people to see your game, for sure. It's a challenge.
there was something I'm trying to get permission. I talked with this guy. It was a Facebook thread talking about the industry and changes in the last 5 years. And this person works for a U.S. distributor, was saying that good games have a shelf life of 3 weeks. And then great games have a shelf life 6-7 weeks. Astonishing
not
games.
months. Weren't we
weeks?
Like months? Now we're down
No,
to weeks.
it's
wow.
weeks.
The half-life is just
6 weeks. Astonishing games. Maybe there's a half dozen of them. They will become, your evergreens. That's it.
This is from a distributor, though, I will point out.
This is from a distributor, but the person mentioned they had closed, meaning they're no longer carrying 800 different titles in the past year.
The problem is distributors can't carry that many games. That's why I say 3 weeks or 6 weeks, because they're going to hey, we got this is what we're doing, and this is the amount of attention we can give it.
Yeah.
So I from their perspective, it's different. That is why the distribution system in the United States is not helpful to publishers at all.
It's interesting to think about the different things, but of course, if you don't do the distribution system, then you have to do it all yourself.
Of course,
so
it's terrible.
How are you going to alert retailers that your thing exists? Other than you go to Gamma, you email all of them somehow. I don't know. I mean, you just go to conventions and sell at conventions directly to buyers. So it's interesting looking at
that, though. I mean, that's so much work.
Looking at all the different parts of the game industry, a lot of them do the thing that makes sense for them. Yes, it makes sense. All I can do is list this thing in my catalog, right? And we ordered X quantity, and we're going to sell that, and we're done with it.
Well, they don't even want that. They don't even want a lot of quantity anymore either. It's very low numbers.
Yeah.
It's not a good system right now. There's something wrong.
I think print on demand is going to have a big thing to say about that soon, right? I mean, it's going to happen eventually. I want that old game. Ginkopolis, print me one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. But technology is not quite there yet.
But is that only for older games? I mean, if you do it for new games, then again, you're shifting the marketing burden onto the publisher or the designer if they're self-publishing, and then you're back to the challenge of how do you even get people to know about your game?
Yeah, exactly. BoardGameGeek.
Okay.
Well,
Yes.
it's a community, right? You have to show people in the community. You have your influencers and you have your readers and you have all that stuff. So
Yeah.
influencers are becoming more important. We need more reviewers, right? I mean, that's really what it kind of boils down to. Just get that game out there to more people to talk about it.
Right.
the good stuff comes around, right? I mean, there are obviously things that do not get noticed, unfortunately, that are good.
Yeah. Or get noticed in different ways. That's kind of the main thing. Like, if you're doing exactly the same as everyone else...
If you're launching your game on Kickstarter on Tuesday, you should probably think of a different day.
Maybe.
Because everybody's launching their games on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Kickstarter. The one game that stuck out to me this week on Kickstarter is called Blood on the Clock Tower. And it is currently at $389,000 for 4,345 backers. So this is a what we call social deduction, where you try to figure out who's playing who. And I think in this game it's a good versus evil. Has anybody actually played this? It's been going around for many years, like being.
I've seen the giant box at conventions.
Yeah, we had it on camera. I think Origins 2017, and Angelus Morningstar has been talking about it nonstop because I think the designer and publisher are Australian, and he has played it at every convention possible and talked about it continuously.
He loves it. Now it is not from what I understand, is not a quick, easy to learn, like, get into the game quickly. It's a complex game. There's a lot of rules and roles and things like that, so interactions. So it's not an easy one. But it's currently on Kickstarter, and it looks pretty cool. And it reminds me of that Blood board game. For some reason, the cover. Did you guys play the Blood board game or a video game back in the 90s? It was on the Build engine with a Duke 3D, Duke Nukem. No, just me.
You could stop at video game.
The cover reminds me of that old Blood game. And maybe that's probably a throwback to it or something. But so, and it is a elimination free social deduction game. So that, like, normally in like a typical werewolf game, people get killed, they're out of the game. But apparently when you're eliminated in this game, you become a ghost, and ghosts have abilities and things. So you're still in the game to the end. So check that out on Kickstarter. A mere $79 will get you the game.
Yeah. Well, I remember they were doing something. Yes, it has a giant box, and they were showing it on like a library, dictionary display stand, and it has felt inside. At least the prototype did. So you can place the rolls in different areas and keep track of different things. So I don't know how mainstream the, felt lining technology is. I don't know if it's very customized, but yeah, I guess it would be $80 to do that.
It's 5 to 20 players.
Wow.
But you need a storyteller as well, so it doesn't play itself. You need a moderator. So
Fujikori was on Kickstarter. That was interesting. What happens a lot when we go to Festival International des Jeux and Gamma is we see lots of games that are headed onto Kickstarter. And so we did an overview of Fujikoro, which had this giant board, all this stuff going on, very French art, super lush, and weird temples that are all constructed out of cardboard very elaborately, and it looks completely for show. It was kind of amazing just seeing the effort they go into for this. And that game stuck out to me as kind of being a sort of different one. So Fujikoro, not Machikoro. Not Machikoro, no.
And not Fuji.
And not Fuji.
Cheap Ass Games has a Kickstarter right now for kind of a history of the company. It's Cheap Ass Games in black and white, and it's a giant hardcover book which includes stories about all of their games from the beginning of the company, including the games themselves. And sort of fitting the Cheap Ass model, every day in April they are releasing an PDF version of one of the games that they have published in the past. So 30 games released for free in PDF form in April 2019. You can just go download them and play them if you want. And if you want to know the backstory of them and how they came to be and how they're developed over time, well, then there's this hardcover book that will tell you all about that.
I've actually read some of it, and it's pretty cool, man. It's a neat... I have only just begun it, but it really seems interesting.
Yeah,
that
James
guy's
Ernest
a neat guy.
He's got lots of interesting stories and a different perspective on things, so it's pretty neat.
It's definitely, it seems like it's really worth a read. Probably should back it. I like that they have like a science textbook that they've wrapped to look like the book. I'm sure it's not going to be this massive book. It's so cool.
I don't know. He Maybe depends on how many stories he has to tell, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
James Ernest has been around. I mean, he was going well before Board Game Geek, so I know the cheap ass games have been strong for a long time.
Wasn't he part of Wizards of the Coast?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think so. Mike Elliott worked there, but I don't think James Ernest did.
Sure. He might have been like a contractor or something. Or what's the title?
Cheap ass games in black and white, because that's how their games were released when they first came out.
And red all over. Dun-dum. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Board Game Geek Show. Thank you once again to my lovely co-hosts, Steph Hodge, Lincoln Damerst, W. Eric Martin.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We appreciate your feedback, thumbs, and likes, and click that subscribe button and ring the bell so we can hear it over here in Board Game Geek Land. So, thanks. Bye.